has been a minute.
Hot minute.
It has been a hot minute since we did this last. What was the trade deadline?
Yeah.
Trade deadline was the last time we were here. Things happen. Life gets in the way.
It does.
But we're back now. That's all that matters. And I don't know if you saw. This is episode 10.
Number 10.
Number 10.
Double digits.
So, before we start, let's reflect on all the good moments we've had here so far. I put together a little clip. I didn't tell you.
Oh, dear God.
So let's take a look at some of the highlights. With that being said, we only had 10 episodes, but how much did you think we had?
I don't know, dude.
Welcome to the Sunday Sauce, episode number 10. It has been over 2 months. If you think I'm going to even attempt last names right now, you are out of your mind. Tyler and Andrew coming back. We got a little bit to cover today. We're jumping the gun by about a month with the draft. Now we're going to jump the gun a little bit because we can't expect you to sit here for 4 hours as we do 32 different teams.
Impossible.
I'd throw myself out the window.
100%.
So we're going to do each division one day at a time. We're going to break down how we feel it's going to go. It's going to lead us right into draft week. Maybe we'll go live for the draft. I know you won't be here.
I will not be.
I might be.
You might be.
With that being said, we could not return without some help. First and foremost, from our friends over at Lividity, letting you come hang out with us. We thank you. Dudes. We also have our friends to thank over at the Primetime Rundown. Now, if you notice, the graphic now says Mondays. Now, in the past, Primetime Rundown would take a break through the summer. But for the second straight summer, we won't be taking a break. As Joe, Ian, and Mike Zabo bring you all the stories in the sports world for Monday nights beginning at 7 p.m. And they're going to be on Mondays till Labor Day. If you can't be with them live, I don't hate you, but you can catch them on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and we have a new location, Odyssey. I think I'm pronouncing that right. We also get a lot of help from our friends over at the Essential Wrestling Podcast. Nice new graphic. Pretty nice, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's nice and shiny. You can catch them every Tuesday, starting at 5 p.m. You can catch all the guys talking about all the things wrestling going on for the week right here on the Eastern Observer with Al, John, Ryan, and Gary recapping the entire world of sports entertainment. That'll probably piss off a few people in the week. And the same thing, you can catch them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the tube of you. We're on time. We got to get started. So we're talking about the draft. I don't care. The first time in a while, I don't care for my team in the draft because we don't have a pick until pick number 64. Yeah, I mean, and we're going to get to that in a bit. What upsets me about the draft is look, other than the same teams winning it for the last 5 years, winning the lottery, with the exception of you guys, and I guess you could say Montreal. It's on a personal standpoint. The Islanders don't draft guys who end up in the league right away, and it bothers me. So the draft is almost irrelevant to me too. With that being said, it's not the strongest draft class this year outside of the top 15.
Yeah.
Next year, when we sit down to do this, we have probably first-round talent going through the third round.
Absolutely stacked. Next
year's draft is going to be absolutely ridiculous. So let's start with a headache. It's funny. I actually wanted to talk about this before I started. I came across a TikTok yesterday saying that trading Devontae's was a very stupid move. And it was the dumbest trade, quote unquote, that Lou could have pulled. How do you feel about that as a non-Islander fan?
Not as harsh as that statement. I don't know if he would have made that big of an impact this year anyway. I don't even know what you guys got back for him, to be honest. What did you get back for him?
The trade was Taves for 2 seconds. One of those seconds, I believe, turned into Aturai.
I don't know. I think it's not that big a deal, to be honest. I mean, Taves is good. He's also playing for Colorado.
Taves was a great defender when he was here.
Yeah.
I believe his last season here, he was bouncing between the top pairing and the second pairing. He was solid, really good.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have with that statement is when you have a free agency where Barzal went to restricted free agency, Polak was going, and Taves was going to go, and you had to pick 2 of the 3. Devon Taves was the odd man out every time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could have argued that, Polak has a little bit of a health history. He missed 4 weeks this year. He's missed time in the past. You could have made the argument. I get that. But when he's healthy...
him, the Pelech and Polak are one of the best duos in the league.
Not even that. When he was healthy, I think it was 2 years ago, he got first-place Norris votes.
Yeah.
I think he got 2 or 3, which 2 or 3 is not going to win you a Norris. It's not even going to put you close. I get it, but he got votes.
He was spoken about.
Yeah, and he made that ridiculous game 4 sliding through the crease stop to even the series of 2 last year. One of the better overtime players for the Islanders. I had to get that off my chest. That was just one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. It was not. I get where the trade comes off as a bad trade, but again, odd man out. What are you going to do? Mind you, he also got here before the likes of Andy Green were traded for. Chara was signed. It's not like he was moved to make room for a corpse.
Yeah.
This is true. All right. Taking a look at the Islanders, respectable 37, 35, and 10 for what they had.
Considering how they started, yeah.
Considering how they started with the 2 COVID pauses, the 13-game road trip, I consider that respectable.
Yeah, they were hot towards the end.
Yeah, they were red hot. Just shy of 3 goals a game average. Just a little bit shy of 29 shots a game. Power play was pretty good, 22%. Shooting percentage based off the team they have was actually pretty high for them.
Yeah.
Islanders never had a problem in the face-off dot. That's one of the few places they ever struggle. Goals allowed tied for 7th, which is what you expect out of a defensive system. You expect them in the top 5, top 10. Shots on goal, 32, give or take 33. Again, not the best. Could be worse. And a fantastic penalty kill. A top 5 penalty kill is always something you're going to ask for. Picking 13th. Most of their free agents this year are going to be defensemen. Noah Dobson obviously isn't going anywhere. Kiefer Bellows, probably some question marks around him, whether they end up trading his rights or not. I personally think they're going to. And Sebastian Aho falls in the UFA G6 category, where he did not accrue the required amount of games played by his age 25 year. So he's not eligible for an offer sheet. Meaning he's probably going to either end up sticking around too, or they're just going to cut him completely.
Yeah.
With that being said, what direction do they go in the draft? And I think the answer is obvious.
You need scoring.
You need a forward, no doubt.
I mean, you're not going to – with a defense like that, you should be winning a lot more games, but you can't score.
Yeah, and I mean, you take into account the shortened season. I think they won about 30 games, which put them at like 30, 20 something, like a handful of overtime losses. And the year before that, in the in the beginning of the COVID season before the bubble, they were already at like the 38 win mark.
Yep.
So had the season gone out, you could argue they would have finished around the 45 win mark. So the defense is doing their job. They're keeping them in their games. Obviously, a lot of changes here. Trotz out, Lambert in. With recently, in the last couple of days, Gruden and Hiller were both removed. I know that typically when you get a new coach, the coaches around them change. I don't particularly agree with it, seeing that the special teams were not a problem this year.
Not at all.
Usually a 12th overall power play and a 4th overall penalty kill is enough to bring you into the playoffs kind of far.
Yep.
Assuming Chara and Green aren't coming back, defense in the system is not a problem with guys Robin Salo. You could, if you had to, you could live with Grant Hutton for a year or two until something becomes a little bit more readily available. But yeah, like you said, scoring is undoubtedly the route they have to go. There were some rumors going around that the Islanders were going to look at Brad Lambert. Ironically enough, is Lane Lambert's nephew. Which a lot of people were initially putting the family connection together. He's going to draft his nephew. If you dig a little deeper into that, the Islander draft pick from a couple years ago, Aturati, the center, who, mind you, was a projected top 3, top 5 pick.
Yeah.
Apparently, he bombed his interviews. He just had a very cocky attitude. Very Islander player to draft.
Very.
Josh Hosang ring a bell. They were line mates, so there's a connection there already. I don't know if I would take him just because it leaves all of the room for players to use he favors his family excuse and play that card, which, don't get me wrong, he's still not going to play for another year or two anyway. When we dig a little deeper into the free agency stuff in a couple weeks, you'll see Bailey's not gone for another year or two. Guys like Parise was just brought back for 2 more years. Clutterbuck was brought back for another year. There's nowhere for him to go right now. Granted, again, you trade Kiefer Bellows, something can happen.
Yeah,
I think going forward here is definitely going to be
obvious.
If I was them, obviously, I think the other thing that probably goes without saying, you have to go for a winger.
Yeah.
There's centers out the you-know-what here. Barzal's not going anywhere. Nelson's probably not going anywhere. Cizikas is definitely not going anywhere. $2.5 million a year for the next 5 years is almost a steal.
Honestly, yeah.
If you do something to make a move for a center, Pajot's probably the odd man out. For the $5.5 million he's making, or the $5 million he's making, he's not playing with a $5 million player.
Yeah.
To me, he's the odd man out. I had a theory that they should trade Brock Nelson, and I almost had shovels thrown at my head for it.
Really?
My only theory, okay, off the top of your head right now, without thinking, will Brock Nelson ever come close to 40 goals again?
No.
Trade him while he's high.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That was my
100%.
Only. If you're not good, if you don't think he can do that twice, and I could be wrong, in the Lambert system, supposedly it's going to be a more offensive-minded system. So if he could put up a 38-goal season in a defensive system, I mean, no disrespect, but Chris Kreider found a way to pull 50 goals out of his backside. You know what I mean? Anything is possible. He could do it. If I was on DraftKings right now making a bet on it, I'm taking the under on 25 goals.
Me too.
But it's possible. The way I see it is, if somebody calls you with a trade and a legitimate, you can't say no to the trade, at least listen to the call.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying trade him tomorrow, trade him for a pick to empty the salary. But if you get a ridiculous offer with including a top 6 forward somewhere, listen to the call. That's my only point.
I completely agree with that.
But I wouldn't actively shop it either.
Yeah, that's how I feel about most of their players right now.
Yeah, I mean, the only players I consider on the Islanders probably to be untouchable would be Sorokin, Barzal, and Dobson.
Yeah,
those are probably the only 3 I would not even field a phone call for unless they openly were telling me they aren't signing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Barzal, when his contract is up after the year, he's going to be at RFA again. Dobson is going to be at RFA this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorokin's going to be an RFA next summer.
Sorokin, I'm not worried about leaving. I think if you guys don't have a good season next year, Barzal is going to leave.
The only thing, The only reason I disagree, and I had this conversation the other day about it, if Barzal is to leave, one, he might be hated more than the other guy. And I'm not even going to say the other guy's name.
It's possible.
I think I think a lot of what's, and I guess this all depends on where the player's head is at. There's no other team in the league unless he goes to Buffalo, and probably not even in Buffalo anymore, where he's going to be the face of the team. You know?
Not wrong.
I mean, look, if he decides to throw on his Vancouver pajamas and go home,
yeah,
he's still not going to be the face there. You know? Like, that's Brock Besser's team.
Yeah.
Granted, they don't trade him because I know that his, a couple episodes ago, it was the last episode, and it was 3 months ago. The last time we spoke, his name was floating around. He was being shopped.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's another thing we're disregarding too. A lot of the names that were rumored to be shopped at the deadline this year, this might not be a big drafting year, but this could be a tremendous trade year.
100%.
This could be a tremendous.
I expect a lot of trades.
I think there's going to be us. If you told me there was going to be more trades than picks, I'd probably believe you.
It helps when you have a shallow draft class too, because everyone's going to want to trade up.
Everybody's going to want to trade up. Anybody who's trading down is trading down with a purpose, not just trading down to help. It could go either way. I lost my train of thought. This happens to me a lot now. I'm getting old.
Yeah.
But yeah, Barzal's just not going to be like. There's no chance he goes to the Rangers and becomes the face. That's your starting team. And the only other place that he could go and potentially be the face that I'm thinking of right now is, and this is all depending on rumor, Boston.
That was in my brain. With how
because if Boston's really going to blow it up and they're going to trade Marchand, they're going to let Bergeron walk, and they're not going to bring Pastrnak back, you could argue that it's going to become McAvoy's team.
Yep.
But if they end up, if they're going to pay Barzal 10, 11, 12 plus million,
he'd be an arguably bigger name.
That is going to be his. That will be his team, and it's not close. There's just nowhere else. I mean, Florida has their guys. Tampa can't afford them.
I mean, the other thing I can think of is if Calgary finally loses Johnny Hockey.
Even so, Sean Monahan, Brady Tkachuk. Matt Tkachuk, like
the Tkachuk boy.
Yeah, even there, he's not. He could be part of their big three, dare I say, but his face isn't going to be on posters and billboards.
That's it. He's going to Seattle. Can you imagine?
I haven't ruled it out yet because he played juniors in Seattle for a long time.
And he'd be the face of a new franchise.
Yeah, that's the thing. He would be the face of a borderline brand new franchise. By the time he got there, he would be 3 years old. The team would be 3 years old.
Yeah.
Probably still a dumpster.
Most likely.
But he would almost immediately take over merch sales, all the scoring categories. I don't know. We're diving too much into the free agents.
It's a moot point if the Islanders have a good year.
Yeah, even if they finish 500 and make it to the second round of the playoffs, it's a moot point.
Yep.
As long as they're winning. Moving forward,
gross.
An actual dumpster fire.
Gross.
This seems to be like another one of those teams that can't get out of their way. Get out of their own way.
Yeah.
Very unstable all over the place. I mean,
extremely.
14th in goals, 20th in shots. Power play, I guess by their standards, the power play was decent compared to previous years because they usually finish even lower than that. So there's an improvement on the power play. The shooting, see, this is what upsets me is because they're shooting like absolute wildfire, barely scoring. I don't know. It's like, again, shots on goal, like 35 shots on goal allowed, 35.2, 31st in the league. The only other team behind them has to be Seattle, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Yeah. And honestly, it might not even be Seattle. Penalty kill, not great. and they got a lot going on this summer. I mean, earlier this week, Jack Roslovic, he came to terms on his RFA agreement. He didn't even come close to arbitration.
No.
So you could take him off the list now. Another question mark: do you see Laine's rights traded? It's maybe not.
I don't think so, but it's within the realm of possibility.
Again, that's another one of those. He's probably the face of your franchise for the next few years if he stays. You're not going to field that conversation unless it's a great offer.
It's the team's going to. If he goes bye-bye, this team is even more of a dumpster. I mean, it's bad.
Yeah, they're going to be like, we'll be talking about them next year with a lottery pick. In all regards.
Yeah.
Picking 12th, a team that really needs help everywhere. The only place you could probably say they don't need help is in net. Merzlikins is turning into a wonderful starting goalie. Despite their record, which when you look at it, if you're not including the overtime, they really were an average team. Just under 500 by a technicality. I mean, again, Merzlikins is keeping them in games. The defense is not good. The goal scoring is
not at all
not there. You know what I mean? Like 5 years ago, 3 goals a game would probably put you in the top 5. Now you make goalies a little smaller. You make the game a little bit more offensive friendly, and they just move with the trend. They're still a middle tier scoring team. They really could go anywhere with this pick, and I think a lot of it dictates on what happens with Patrick Laine.
Probably. I mean, I think I'm still leaning defenseman because if they're picking 12th, they'll probably have a couple of the better defensemen available, because you got to think, like, in my opinion, I mean, we'll obviously talk about them another episode, but like Montreal, in my opinion, is taking a forward. You have a lot of teams up front that are taking forwards.
I could see that. I mean, so I'm going to pull this up real quick. I'm not going to screen share it because they refuse to sponsor us. But have you ever heard of Tankathon?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm looking at their mock draft right now. So far as what we think teams should be drafting, we're 2 for 2. They have the Islanders taking a forward.
Columbus actually has the 6th pick from Chicago.
Columbus does. That's right. They have 2 picks. They have the 6 and the 12.
So they could go forward defenseman or defenseman forward. Or 2 defensemen.
Which is what Tankathon has them doing.
Yeah.
They have Matt Savoy at 6.
Okay.
And Kevin Korchinski at 12.
I was going to bring up Kevin Korchinski.
And Brad Lambert moved up in the draft too.
I am very down on Brad Lambert, so don't bring him up.
I'm not high on him, but if they got him, see, you know who tickles my fancy, but it bothers me because he's a center?
Who?
Connor Geekie.
Okay.
Like if he wasn't a center, that's what I would say the Islanders need. When you have 2 first-round picks, I guess there is no wrong answer because you can take 1 and 1.
You can go either way, yeah.
But again, I think it also depends on Patrick Laine. I think if he's going to leave, I think both of those picks turn into 2 forwards.
Mm-hmm.
If he stays, you go 1 and 1.
Yeah,
I think that's a fair assessment. There's nobody else really on here that like really hurts them if they go. Because you got to think, if you look at a lot of these free agents they're all RFAs. So they're all still under team control.
Mm-hmm.
So like you don't have to worry about Boquist leaving. You technically don't need to worry about Laine leaving because if he leaves, he's going to be on an offer sheet or you're going to trade his rights.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you're trading his rights, it's more than likely a sign and trade anyway. But there's nobody on this list like that I'm looking at that like if they leave, they're in trouble.
Yeah, because I mean, they'll still have Voracek, they'll still have Bjorkstrand, they'll still have Nyquist, they'll still have Werenski.
Not even that. They're in trouble whether they stay or go.
That's fair.
So I guess it's going to be just the draft is going to determine how that works. Moving forward to everybody's favorite team, And I have a lot to say about these idiots. Again, another team that came flying out, kind of pulled the old Buffalo on us, made everybody a little nervous that they might actually take a playoff spot, and they were gone by December.
And they dropped like a friggin' nuke.
And they're another team that they can't stay out of their own way. On paper, this is a playoff team.
Absolutely.
There's no reason it shouldn't be. Looking at their stats, again, there's a little bit of inconsistency. 19th in goals a game, 31 shots a game. Power play was atrocious. And that's probably what, honestly, if you want my opinion, that's what killed them this year. Is not being able to score on the power play.
Yeah, you just never had the same team 2 games in a row.
That was the problem. They'd go out and they'd go beat a team like Tampa 5-0, and then they get run out of the building by Seattle 2 days later. It's like
it'll be like a 7-6 game or something. Like ridiculous.
It'll be like 7-6 overtime with Tampa, and then Seattle will come in and beat them for like
5-1.
Yeah, 2-1, 5-1. It was like
you didn't know what you were gonna get.
Yeah, like see, look, everybody knows there's those categories of teams you need to beat or you should beat, and then there's the teams where if you beat them, it's great. If you don't, chances are you're not going to see them in the playoffs anyway.
Yeah.
Looking at their list of free agents,
couple scary
ones,
and a bunch of not so scary.
There's a couple that I really don't want on the free agent market. There's a couple that aren't even going to find a team right away. And then there's Montreal Canadiens legend PK Subban.
King Clancy.
Sorry. King Clancy winner, PK Subban. The Slewfoot's a stat now. You didn't know?
It's a stat.
We
got league leaders, and he leads the league.
But see, we make fun of him, but he's taking a tremendous weight off of the Devils this year. His $9 million cap hit's going to come off the books. That does absolute wonders for them.
Pretty much, if you look at that list, the way I'm thinking right now, you take that list right on the left side of the screen, you put a line in between Jimmy Vesey and Mason Geertsen. Everyone under that line, with a maybe on Jesper Boquist, I still want on my team if I'm a Devil fan.
Yeah, I mean, first, before we go any further, second overall pick, where do they go?
Well, you got to... Shane Wright's going first.
Shane Wright is first overall pick. We'll get into that next episode. But because, I said we're going to start with the entertaining East and move to the woeful West.
So I just don't know. I think I go a defenseman if I'm them. The thing is, there's just the draft is top heavy with forwards right now.
It's funny you say that because 2 of the top 5 picks are defensemen.
I disagree with that ranking.
I very much so disagree with that ranking. Matt Savoy should not be outside the top 5.
I agree. I'm looking. I mean, I have my rankings. I have the North American and the European skaters ranked separately, so I'm not seeing the overall rankings. But
gotcha. When
you have Simon Nemec as the number 1 ranked defenseman on this list, from what I can tell,
yeah. I mean, this is what Tankathon's running through the 16th. I've never heard of these 2.
Yeah, in terms of the 2 European guys. I mean, they're 3 and 4 on the European chart, respectively.
Right.
But these North American guys, these forwards, I feel like all of them are going to be above them.
Yeah, and I mean, I know that certain people, depending on who you're talking about, have favor the North American guys a little bit more.
Yeah.
You could see... I could see them going center in a weird way. And going with Logan Cooley. He's committed to Minnesota. He's not going to be here for another couple of years.
Yeah.
If you lose a guy like Zacha or Boquist, there's your replacement. You know what I mean?
Not wrong.
I think, like, my gut tells me they need to go defense. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially because, again, like you said, and I'm gonna take your line from under Mason Gearson. I'm gonna put it above him.
No, I said above Mason Geertsen, so we're on the same page.
Okay,
in between VC and Geertsen.
Because, if you look at, as I listed everybody's positions here, having a winger defenseman is very uncommon. I think the last person to do it actively is Brent Burns.
Yeah.
Like, that is very uncommon. So to have basically a Swiss Army hockey player like that, that's a big deal. You could do a lot with him. You can have him score. Mason Gearson's never going to do it, but you could have him score 30 goals and block over 200 shots in a season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, never going to happen with him. He's not Brent Burns.
No.
But that versatility is somebody you can – that's a bottom 6 forward and a bottom 3 defenseman.
Especially come the playoffs. It's huge.
That's very valuable in the playoffs. They got to go defense.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to have to reach for it. And that's one of the really bad – see, I feel like the second pick is the worst pick. Because you know you're not getting the best,
and
you have to really reach for what you want. Now,
I can't see them taking this Nemec guy at 2.
I can't see them taking Nemec. I can't see them taking.
If they absolutely have to take a defenseman and they have to take 2, I'm going with the Pavel Mintu, whatever his name is, Mintyukov.
See, that's a reach too because he's not projected to go till 15th.
Listen, I get that, but it's all going to be a reach anyway, and I think that he has more of an upside.
So now, if you're the Devils, do you reach or do you trade your pick and move back?
That's another. So I was going to say this before when we were talking about Columbus. I'm higher on the Devils than I am Columbus. I think the Devils are in a better position than some of these other teams in the Metro.
Right.
They are in a position they can trade this pick and immediately put themselves actually in a playoff contention.
Yeah, so, again, depending on – and it all depends on the route they want to go. If they want to go forward, they just stay wherever they are.
Yeah.
But if you were committed to getting a defenseman, you can move back in the draft.
Absolutely.
And if they decide to think the same way as you do, which is a terrible thing to do, no offense, and they want to take this, oh God, I can't believe I didn't even try this. Pavel Mutnikov?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll go with it. You're talking about a 13 or 14 pick drop off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're giving. First of all, that's going to set off a red flag to everybody between 3 and 14.
Yep.
Because now they know you're looking for something. And every single one of those teams is going to try to beat you to it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But again, you fall in that range of if you're going to trade that far back, you have Denton Matnichuk, Ryan Chesley is there. Owen Pickering, again, those are all pretty decent defensemen.
In my opinion, he's not a defenseman. The most underrated player in this draft, Alexander Paravalov.
He's not even projected in the first round anymore.
It's crazy because I think like I said, I think he's one of the single most underrated player in the first round.
I agree. What the hell happened to my slides? I feel like, again, our guts are telling us they got to go defense. But they're another team that can go in either direction.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go. I am going to piggyback off you a little bit, in a sense of when you take that line between VC and Gearston, everybody that they have to worry about leaving is a forward.
Yes.
So it almost pushes me more towards defense more.
Yeah.
Moving forward with everybody's favorite team.
Gross.
And by everybody's favorite team, I mean probably one of the most hated teams, if not the most hated team in the Metro. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. This is another thing we didn't talk about. Did the Devils bring in the imposter Jack Hughes? Who fell to the second round now, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow. I don't think they do.
The Flyers are
Gross.
they're a garbage can. That's just where trash goes. Just about the worst goals per game, but they're shooting.
Oh, they're shooting.
The absolute worst power play in the league, and I can't believe I was wrong. I can't believe it's not Seattle.
Ugh.
Shooting percentage is terrible. Face-off percentage is decent, and you can thank almost 51.9% of that to Claude Giroux before the trade.
Yep.
Letting up way too many goals, allowing way too many shots to hit their goalies, and just a poo-poo power play. Penalty kill, excuse me. With that being said, there's no wonder they're drafting 5th. I think this is another easy one. I think this is forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can say that again.
I mean, you can live with Martin Jones and Carter Hart. You know, you can live with them as a 1-2 for another couple of years.
Yeah.
Keith Yandel retired. You know, he's going to retire. Nate Thompson, I didn't even know was still playing in the league.
Agree.
Because he was on the Islanders when I was in, like, elementary school. Owen Tippett, Morgan Frost. I don't know if you're in such a rush to bring back Owen Tippett. I feel like he kind of underperformed after that Giroux trade.
Yeah, he's whatever.
But it's kind of, did he underperform, or is that like is he a product of a very bad environment?
No, yeah.
And
I don't have much to say about the team just because they're so bad.
Yeah, it's one of those teams where there's so much to say about them, but there's nothing to say.
You got Travis Konechny, you got Cam Atkinson, you got Kevin Hayes, and you have Oscar Lindblom. That's it.
So, Tankathon, for some unexplainable reason, has them going defenseman.
No.
If I was them, based off the Giroux trade and based off how the team sits right now, they have Matt Savoy written all over them.
If I were them, I would trade every single person on that roster and just get draft picks.
I would, just trade everybody, take over the entire first round of the draft.
Exactly.
So that way you don't have to pick and choose. You got everybody.
There's not a single person on this team worth keeping except maybe Kevin Hayes and Oscar Lindblom. That's it.
Yeah.
Out of their regulars, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue Cam Atkinson just because they need somebody there to sell a T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think if anything, Philadelphia they're the team with Matt Savoy written all over their forehead. They need a center. I don't think Morgan Frost is their long-term answer.
No, I don't think so at all either.
And Nate Thompson just turned like 62 last week. So, again, it's like I don't want to move too fast, but at the same time, there's not much to say about really bad teams.
I just honestly, I don't know if Savoy's still going to be there at 5.
See,
I might have him going 4.
If Savoy is there for the Flyers, it's a no-brainer pick.
Yes.
It will not surprise me in the slightest, and we'll dive more into it when we get to the Pacific. It would not surprise me in the slightest if Seattle takes it.
Yeah, not at all.
Especially because I think I didn't want to bring up Cap Friendly, not sponsored by Cap Friendly, during the show because I know we saved a lot of that for free agency. But yeah, just like we were talking about during the trade deadline, and I'll bring this up again because I still can't believe it when I look at it. They have, I think, 800 picks in the next couple drafts.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Like, it's still hard for me to process this. You know what I mean? And the fact that they got all these picks, they got 4 in the second, 3 in the fourth, 3 in the second next year, 3 in the fourth next year, 2 in the third next year. The fact that they made all those moves, did all that wheeling and dealing for all those picks, and they still have 1 first-round pick.
Ain't no one worth a first-round pick.
Vegas had like 804 first-round picks for the first 2-3 years they were in the league. Now, I don't know if that's teams just getting smart and not wanting to trade people.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that, like you were saying, if Seattle doesn't go defense, which they really shouldn't, that they have Matt Savoy written across their forehead.
Yeah.
And if they don't take him, Arizona's going to take him. I don't think the fact that Matt Savoy is not in the top 5 is blowing my mind right now.
No, that makes no sense at all.
The only thing I can think of is that maybe a couple of the guys ahead of him right now only stopped playing within the last few weeks. They had a little bit more time to build their draft stock. Because I know Matt Savoy hasn't played for like at least a month or two.
A while, yeah.
He hasn't played in at least a month. These jolly idiots. It's hard to bash Pittsburgh because no matter how much we don't like them, they're consistently a decent team.
Artemi Panarin's their daddy, though.
Artemi Panarin is their daddy. You know who else is their daddy? Scott Mayfield. So it's nice to know that we each have custody of a parent.
Yeah, there you go.
One thing that immediately takes my attention off of their stats right now is the size of that free agent list.
It's huge.
It's ridiculous. We got to do it in order. Go into the stats first. Almost a top 10 team in goals. That's expected. 6th in shots, 19th on the power play, which is much lower than I think people expect off a Pittsburgh team. Shooting percentage is okay. Like, I guess for one of the older teams in the league, that's decent shooting percentage.
Dumb statistic anyway.
It's a dumb statistic. But the fact is teams look at it, and it's the only reason I put it in there.
Yeah.
5th in goals allowed, that's great for them.
Yeah.
Or tied 5th, excuse me, because my bad grammar didn't put a dash there. 31 shots allowed, and the penalty kills top 3.
Yeah.
Again, overall, I mean, I know there's some jumping here. You go 3rd, 14th, 5th, 11th, 19th, 19th, 6th, but it's a fairly well-rounded.
Yeah.
Obviously, they made the playoffs. They lost to the Rangers in 7 in the first round. I can't do my hand gesture to you because we're picking 21st. I feel as if they have to go forward based off of the ages of Crosby and Malkin and the fact that they're not going to be around much longer.
Malkin's gone. He's not going to be on the Penguins next year.
Really?
I don't think he is at all. I don't think he's going to be on the Penguins next year.
Hold on. Let me get comfortable for this one.
The Penguins are on the decline. Malkin's going to go somewhere that's not on the decline. It's as simple as that. I don't think he's going to be there.
I disagree. I think he's going to be there, but I think it's going to be on a very low, or I guess low by an Evgeny Malkin standard, money contract, just so the Penguins make sure that he retires a Penguin. None of that one-day contract nonsense. Look, could he go? Absolutely. Someone could offer him a stupid amount of money to score 8 goals.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but when you hear the name of Evgeny Malkin and you try to put him in like a St. Louis Blues jersey, it's like I can't even try to process the image. You know what I mean? I mean, Chris Letang, you can probably say the same thing. He could be on his way out too. He might actually retire because his health issues are.
I was going to say, I think he retires.
Casey DeSmith, Louis Domingue. I probably see Domingue coming back. just based off the fact that he was able to keep the Penguins alive through the playoffs. I think he proved himself to the management.
Yeah.
DeSmith, no, don't get me wrong. DeSmith had a concussion. It's not his fault. But DeSmith he won't not find a job either.
No, he'll get picked up immediately.
If I'm the Penguins, also, Evan Rodriguez, probably not somebody I want to go.
No, out of this list, he's my top priority.
Raquel, you can almost put in that top priority list, just because, again, you gave up so much to get him. But Pittsburgh might not even be really willing to get rid of him, too. Yeah, I mean, again, Raquel, you gave up so much to get him. Brian Boyle, he'll probably sign one of those 2-year, $2 million deals. I could see him sticking around.
Maybe. I think I'm leaning towards retirement for him, but he might.
I mean, he's not that old, is he?
I think he's in his mid to upper 30s.
Well, no, I know he's in his 30s. I remember him as a Ranger back in the late 2000s.
Hey, he's 37.
Is he that old?
Yeah, he turns 38 December of this year.
So,
in the type of hockey he plays, he's got to be feeling it.
That kind of justifies a 1 or 2 year, $1 million.
Definitely, yeah. Deal. I could see a 1.
See, it's fun. It sucks that it's not like baseball where you could sign a 1 year deal with an option.
Yeah.
Because I think that would change if they put those in the contracts in the NHL. That would change the league.
Monumental.
And again, I know we're not diving too deep into the free agent stuff, but Crosby's only got 3 years left.
Yeah,
2 years left. Brian Rust is, he's locked up till he's about 100. But
literally,
but again, Jeff Carter can't carry a team, and he's going to retire at the end of his deal. He's going into his age 37 year.
Yep.
Tankathon has him going winger. I kind of agree.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I feel like you can't disagree with that. Especially seeing where Malkin goes. Because I think him and Raquel probably dictate a lot of the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look at the list anyway. They were already a great defensive team. You only have 2 defensemen on that list. You got to think at least one of them is staying.
Yeah, you figure at least one. Maybe look, both could stay too.
Very possibly both. So a winger is definitely where they have to go.
Yeah, they could both. That's just the reality of it. My gut goes to the winger, though.
100%.
I'm angry.
What else is new?
Not funny, but actually very kind of funny, pretty true. I'm looking at the draft now. The kids being drafted were born in 2004.
Don't remind me.
I don't appreciate this. I feel personally attacked.
I know, dude.
Just moving on.
We're not going to talk about it.
Now, I believe, if I'm correct, this is our last Metropolitan team with a first-round pick this
year. Yep.
Again, doing very Capitals things, dominating the regular season, beating teams by 6 or 7 goals every night, and then getting absolutely paddleboarded in the first round.
Looks scary for a minute for the Panthers, but they turned it around.
Top 10 goals per game. Shots on goal, again, is another stupid stat. Power play was pretty weak this year for a Capitals team.
For having Alex Ovechkin in the left faceoff dot, you'd think it'd be better.
Yeah. Shooting percentage, again, another stupid stat, but 8th in the league in his shooting percentage. Again, a team with Ovechkin, you'd kind of expect it to be a little higher.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal faceoff team.
Awful.
12th in goals allowed. Shots on goal, 29 for 6th in the league, and a 12th overall penalty kill. The only interesting thing, really, in their upcoming free agency list is Vanacek and Samsonov.
The goaltendies.
And look, they're both arbitration eligible. They're both going to stay around for a year. But who is the team more committed to? Because it seemed like at points this year, a lot of the favoritism went to Vitek Vanacek.
It did. I mean, they played pretty much the exact same amount of games. Honestly, their stats are pretty similar.
Yeah, their stats are you could almost argue borderline identical.
Yeah.
But who is the team backing more? Because it seemed like in last year's playoff, I believe it was Boston, Samsonov made that really poor play behind the net, and the whole Ovechkin yelling at him not to sleep. Whole thing.
Bells are ringing.
It doesn't seem as if the team has treated him the same since.
Yeah.
It's so, and again, just based off of playing time and the games he was playing in, the bigger games, it seems almost as if the team thinks that Vanacek is their guy. My gut tells me for this draft, the Capitals should go defense because they have not a lot of it.
No, they don't.
They have John Carlson, and that's about it. Justin Schultz is kind of up there in age. He's been around for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see where I can find them.
They picked 20, so 20 is a spot that you definitely could take a defenseman too.
20 is a safe spot to pick a defenseman. Yeah, I mean, John Carlson, they have Dmitry Orlov, who is actually a lot younger than I thought he was. He's only 30.
Yeah. He's just been around forever.
TVR, he's around, but he's not anything really to write home about, and he's also already 30.
Yeah.
I feel like defense is the way for them in this draft. Picking 20, around the 20th pick, you're looking at Ryan Chesley, Owen Pickering. Those are the guys who should be available in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on if you want to reach Seamus Casey. I don't know. And it's funny, too, is when it's hard when you predict these things, because whether it be hockey, the NFL, the NBA, there's somebody in this first round that we're looking at right now that we don't even know yet is going to drop dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
And it's kind of like, on one hand, our picks mean nothing. But at the same time, it's like trying to figure out who's going to be the guy. And again, I hate to keep bringing him up, but I have a really uncomfortable gut feeling that Matt Savoy is going to be the guy who drops.
Well, good for the team that gets him.
That's fantastic for the team.
Yeah.
But
if he wants to drop to pick 64, I'm in.
Oh, and look, I don't think he's going to drop to like.
No, I know.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to drop into the 20s. But even if he drops outside the top 10, that's a tremendous drop for him.
Oh, yeah.
But if he drops outside the top 10, if he can fall to like the 13th pick, give or take, that'd be pretty good. But yeah, I feel like defense has to be the way here to go. Ovechkin's not going anywhere. He's still Ovechkin's still scoring 50 goals a year as a certified Looney Tune. Backstrom is okay. Kuznetsov is okay.
Plain and simple, they were top 10 in goals. They're not losing any forwards really.
Yeah, the only knock is their power play, and that's just basically because of not. It's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. What do you do when you get the ball? Pass it to Will.
Yeah.
What do you do when you get the puck? Pass it to Obi.
Literally.
And they just I noticed it a lot this year. Now that I think back on it, it's like they really weren't setting him up. It was almost like they were trying to take the puck away from him. I don't know if that's intentional or if 17 years later teams were finally starting to realize, like, hey, maybe we should stand in front of that guy. I don't know. He's only 100 something goals away from Gretzky. We might want to stand in front of him now.
Might be a good idea.
I think the defense is the way for them to go.
Yeah, 100%.
So with that being said, we have established all of the teams with first-round picks from the Metro Division. Now let's get into the two teams in the Metro that do not have a first-round pick see if they should trade back in, and if they do, where they should go. But we're not starting here. I'm going to make you suffer.
That's fine.
I'm going to make you wait.
That's fine with me.
We can talk about these guys. The first thing that stands out with the Carolina Hurricanes is consistency up and down. They are consistently scoring goals with a consistent shot rate. The power play and the shooting percentages are consistent with each other. All the defensive they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. They were the best defensive team in the league.
Yep.
Currently not having a first-round pick. Looking at their list of free agents, Ranger legend Tony DeAngelo, Ranger legend Derek Stepan.
Love him.
Islander legend Nino Niederreiter.
Yep.
They could take a real big slap in the face this summer.
Especially they have, I think, just south of $20 million in cap space.
I can tell you right now.
I'm pretty sure it's just south of $20 million.
$19.25.
Yeah, so they're not going to be able to keep everybody.
They can't keep everybody, but they'll be able to keep most. So, off the bat, Lorentz, DeAngelo, I know you hate to hear that, and Ethan Bear are safe. They don't have to worry about them leaving.
Yeah.
They're going to arbitration.
Yeah.
They're
going to throw the bag at Trocheck, obviously.
Trocheck is going to get paid. I think.
Same with Domi.
I don't know about that.
I think they throw the bag at him too.
Actually, I take it back. I have to stick true to my word from a couple weeks ago. Or what I've been saying, I should say. I think Niederreiter's gone.
I do too.
On a personal note, I'd love to bring him back here, especially with new ownership, new coaches, and a new manager. Mm-hmm. Maybe he'll have a better experience this time around. Brendan Smith, I know you guys are chomping at the bit to get him back now.
I love that boy. Does everything.
No, Brendan Smith turned into Adam Fox, so
relax.
More or less, not directly, but pretty directly.
Yeah.
It opened it opened the door to a future move.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
They can kind of go anywhere with this pick if they were in the first round. And this is why they're not in the first round. They didn't. Yeah. They don't need it. If they were to go back into the first round, I see them going forward.
If they were to,
if they were to go back to the first, I could see them going forward. I wouldn't be surprised because they don't have a pick.
They don't even have. They have pick 60.
Yeah, they have pick 60. Call me crazy. Okay. I will not be surprised if they pick a goalie.
Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. I will not call you crazy.
Like I can say comfortably that picking a goalie at 60 is still ballsy. Don't get me wrong. A second round goalie is a ballsy pick.
Yeah.
But I can see them doing it because they don't need anybody else. Like they don't. Depending on how their free agency works out, they don't need to pick a forward or a defender.
Yeah.
And it's a risk reward type thing in my head because you can go pick a goalie in the second round. There's a very solid chance that he's not going to play for you for at least 2-3 years. It could turn out to be in 20 years. We could talk about one of the steals of the draft.
Absolutely. You think you can have Freddie Anderson for another year or two before he just withers away, and then you can have Antti Ranta for a little bit, and then here comes this kid.
Well, it also depends on what they want to do because this is a contract year for both Anderson and Ranta.
Well, Freddie's is up too.
Freddie's is up after this year too. So again, you could go the goalie this year, groom him, whatever. You could get him as early as next year. I don't think that's
real. If they were to pick a goalie, you are not pressed to sign both of them next year.
Exactly. You're pressed to sign, in my personal opinion, you're probably more pressed to sign Ronta.
I completely agree.
Someone who can split half a season.
Yeah.
And knows in the back of his head that he is not the guy going into a playoff run unless he was ridiculous in the regular season.
Yeah, and if you need to throw him in, you know he's going to be solid.
Exactly.
If not better than solid.
Let's see. Here we go.
Look at it. It's beautiful. Except for two things.
I mean, look, your face-off percentage wasn't the best. All right. Just get it over with. It'll be better in a minute. The Rangers
talk about it.
Are the other team in the Metro without a first-round pick. A season that surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Not particularly myself. I did tell you in a personal conversation, probably at the beginning of the year, I expected the Rangers to be in the playoffs. Not what I had in mind. But at least I wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things with the Rangers is when there's two stats here that stand out to me. The goals a game, tying them for 16th in the league, and the power play, putting them at 4th in the league. And this is a conversation we had a couple weeks ago. One of the biggest downfalls to the Rangers season, whenever that may end, is going to be not being able to score 5-on-5 hockey.
5-on-5. Yep, 100%.
And you think with because I'm sorry, this is my personal opinion, but for a very large chunk of this playoff run for the Rangers, Artemi Panarin has practically been a ghost since Game 5 of the first round.
Correct. I do think he's playing injured, but correct.
I think he's definitely playing injured, no doubt. I think he's hurt somewhere.
He just doesn't look right.
I don't think you can ask more for Kreider. Again, we were talking before we even hit record before. 50 goals, my opinion, he's probably going to get named your captain after the season.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you can't really say much about Kreider and Zibanejad.
No, I mean, Kreider and Zibanejad are probably the two people on the team that you can look at, and you can point fingers at both of them and be like, hey, you guys did a great job.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Yeah, Kreider is going into his age 31 season. He'll probably be the captain for the next few years because, I mean, at this point, you do have to have a captain eventually.
Yeah.
I think you've been playing. I think the last time you had a captain, I was in high school.
Yeah, it was Ryan McDonough.
And he was traded 2015?
I think so. It was 2016, maybe.
So the last time you had a captain, I was in high school.
Gross, but yes.
And mind everybody, you're also a year older than I am. A year or 2 years?
Wait, you're talking about you were in high school in 20... I graduated high school in 2012.
Yeah, you're 2 years older than me. I graduated... I graduated 14.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was in high school the last time you guys had a captain. It's weird. I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I think, look, like we were just saying, Kreider's probably the front runner.
I agree.
Unless they give him the good old Austin Matthews and give it to, Ryan Reeves.
I mean,
who could? I don't think anybody would argue if he was a captain.
No, I don't think anybody would. The gritty player that he is.
I think the only person on your team that actually puts up a legitimate case to be a captain other than him is Adam Fox.
Fox and Zibanejad, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, those are the only two I would give it to. And Zibanejad, he got a little bit more time out of. He's a couple years younger than Kreider. Fox is by far the youngest of the bunch. And I do think at some point in time, whether it be now or whether it be in 6 years, Fox will be a captain here eventually.
At some point, he's going to be a captain.
At some point, that is your captain.
Without a doubt. At one point, I do think he's going to have a C and Alexi Lafreniere will have an A.
Yeah, and I think, what's the rule in the league? You can have a C and 2 A's or a C and 3 A's?
I think it's a C and 3.
C and 3. So saying Kreider gets the C right now, Barclay Goodrow's losing his A.
Unfortunately.
That's going right to Fox.
Yeah.
Zibanejad and Panarin are not going to lose their A's.
No.
So those are your A's right there. And oh my God, you gave Ryan Strome an A.
We don't have a captain, so you can have like 6 A's or something like that.
You have 6.
They also change it.
Don't you guys have 3 home, 3 away?
It's something nuts. Yeah.
Well, no, because the Islanders did that one year. Like I think 12 years ago, before Tavares was even drafted. I think it was actually his draft year. They played with like 4 or 5.
And it's not just home and away either. It'll change. I know I went to the second to last game of the year when they sat pretty much everybody and they just slapped an A on Kevin Rooney's jersey. Because like, why not?
Well, I think you legally have to play with a minimum.
You do, yes, you do.
I mean, you were depending on who was ironing the jerseys that night. You were probably only a stitch or 2 away from a Greg McKegg A.
Oh well, I'm on board for that.
Yeah, he's a good player. Yeah, I mean,
look, out of the UFAs on this list, my priorities are Vetrano, Mott, and Kopp. I take Kopp over Strome, unfortunately.
I don't think that's unfortunate at all.
Well, I'm talking about Strome has given a lot to this team. I don't necessarily want him to leave, but at $5 million, he's not worth it.
Okay, well, I guess you missed the game on Thursday. That man couldn't hit Jupiter.
I'm aware.
Feet away.
Trust me, I yelled at him a lot.
Yeah, I'm aware too.
And I would also like Kevin Rooney to stay. The RFAs, I think all the RFAs are going to stay except for Georgiev. Mm-hmm. And maybe Gauthier might be gone, but I didn't realize. And obviously, Capo Caco's going to stay.
From a draft standpoint, before we get into that, there's no reason for you to come back to the first round.
No, doing anything to get us in the first round would be moronic.
The only reason, in my opinion, for you to come back to the first round is if you dump a contract and work out a trade like that. The only contract you could, I mean, and this is solely based off of being the odd man out. The only contract here that's dumpable is Trouba's.
Which they're not going to do.
Which is never going to happen. That's what I mean. Yeah. And like I said, he's the odd man out by default because Fox is not. You're not entertaining Fox. You're not entertaining Panarin. Zibanejad, Kreider, and Barclay Goodrow. You're not entertaining those. Mm-hmm. So like I said, Trouba's probably the odd man out by default just because he's only got 3 years left and he's only making $8 million.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But this is why I say there's not a reason for you at all.
No, the only way they're going to end up with a high draft pick, and this is ridiculous. I mean, if they're going to end up trading Kravtsov, I want you get players back for him. If you do end up with a draft pick, you're flipping that pick anyway. Because in the minors they still have Brendan Hoffman. He's going to be in the NHL next year. I guarantee it. I think
if you flip Kravtsov and you get back into the first round that way. I think you use the pick.
I guess if it's depending what pick it is, I don't know. If it's a late pick, I think I still flip it. Top 20, I'll use it.
I think I would use it either way. Because my thing is also, and this is just because of how I see things going for the Rangers. First of all, I want to look at something really quick. So, okay. So since Winnipeg has your pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you were in the first round, you're looking at Owen Beck, which is good, but not great. I mean, let's see. Last season, OHL, 68 games, 51 points. It's not great, but it's not. Like, you live without him. So you're not losing much in the draft. I guess you could flip the pick, but again, this is like we've been saying, this is not going to be a pick. This is not going to be a flippable draft year.
Also fair.
a lot of people are going to be looking to trade players, not picks. Everybody's bolstering up for next year's draft. Next year's draft is, as we said before, it's almost like fantasy hockey.
Yeah. I just know our farm system is just packed. I don't know what we like adding another player. Even like a defenseman. We got 2 or 3 defensemen in the minors who are still possibly going to get called up. You got, like I said, you have Brendan Hoffman who's going to get called up.
Yeah.
Brendan Hoffman might end up being one of the best picks the Rangers have ever made. And
if I'm correct, based off of this, I mean, this is also, this is Justin Braun's contract year 2.
Yeah.
You have to assume that's Braden Schneider's pick. That's his spot.
Without a doubt.
You know what I mean? But here's now, I'm picking your brain for a minute.
Sure.
Because I want it to be on the record now that I am not assuming anything. I am asking questions.
Okay.
The person who's going to watch this when it comes out knows that I'm talking to them. Obviously, you can't pay everybody.
Correct.
And with Lafreniere going to be an RFA next year, Kakko is an RFA this year. Philip Hedl going to arbitration next year.
There's going to be an issue.
Do you think Braden Schneider turns into the odd man out when the time comes?
No, I don't.
Because I think Lafreniere is untouchable. He's not going anywhere. You're not going to let a first-round pick leave on his entry-level deal.
Especially the way he's been playing in the playoffs, he's not going anywhere.
I could almost argue saying Philip Hedl would be the odd man out, which is a shame because he's kind of like, I guess now you know that he's your playoff guy. He's your playoff performer.
I mean, a lot's going to ride on next season because this kid line's going to stay. And if it gels, you really can't get rid of any of it.
And like I said, the thing that bothers me is when you talk about Hedl, Lafreniere, and Braden Schneider, and don't forget, and next year, Keandre Miller's an RFA.
He's getting the bag.
But that's the thing. You say he's getting the bag. You can't pay everybody. No. Braden Schneider is going to be an expensive defenseman one day.
Well, at some point, someone's leaving. Honestly, it's Jacob Trouba. When the time comes, it's going to be Jacob Trouba.
Are you sure about that?
Honestly, yes.
Because Mr. Jacob Trouba has a no-move clause.
I know. I still think he's going to be the one to go.
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of factors to play into it.
Because he gets a 15-team no-trade list in 24-25.
And then 25-26, he gets a 12-team no trade.
Yeah.
I think a lot of this is, again, going to be circumstantial. Seeing that, again, I don't see it happening with Kreider by any means. But the guys coming up on contracts in a couple of years, there is that possibility that guys have changes of heart. They don't want to be here anymore. They want to get traded.
It's possible.
You dump a big contract, problem solved.
Well, hopefully we get to dump Patrick Nemeth and free up $2.5 million.
Patrick Nemeth is a free agent in 2 years, and you probably couldn't trade him to a Starbucks right now.
No, definitely not.
I didn't want to ask this because I knew we were going to spend an hour thinking about it, but between Hedl, Lafreniere, Schneider, and Keandre Miller, there's no right answer.
If we're going to those 4, I'm leaning Schneider.
He's the odd man out.
As long as Hedl can keep up his production.
I think a lot of it's going to depend, like you said, on next season.
Yeah,
if Hedl has
absolutely.
If Hedl has a horrible next season, there's your answer.
He has some kind of drop off. I mean, it would be an easier decision if Hoffman was a center, and he's not.
Yeah.
I mean, he's young. They could make him a center and see what happens, but the Rangers are not a deep team as far as centers go.
And I think as far as my investigation from the week had confirmed, you guys have the most unrestricted free agents this year.
Yeah, we have a lot.
You have, based off the naked eye right now, 7 UFAs.
Yeah, and I would like to keep most of them. I mean, Justin Braun can walk. I don't care. Thank you for your service in the playoffs, but whatever. I really want to keep all of our deadline guys. So Kopp, Mott, and Vetrano. I want the 3 of them here.
Yeah, well,
I'm
you gave up too much
assuming-
to lose them. You have to keep
And they've
them.
been good. They were really good. I mean, our 5-on-5 numbers skyrocketed after we got them.
Yeah.
And as Tyler Mott is honestly my favorite one. He's the type of player is invaluable. I'm assuming if keeping Kopp means Strome is gone,
So be it.
most likely. Kevin Rooney might be gone. And I'm assuming Greg McKegg is gone unless he signs for $1 million and a keg.
See, one of the things going in your favor as a Ranger is guys will be willing to take less money to win.
Yes.
So you have a lot of that going in your favor.
Yeah.
One guy that we're kind of ignoring. What are you going to do about Sammy Blake?
I would love to keep him.
But he's tore his ACL?
Yeah.
He's going to arbitration this summer.
Yeah. I mean,
Now,
we'll see where that goes.
So, well, the thing is if you're smart, he's going to make a couple bucks.
Yeah.
He's coming off a contract where he was making 1.5 a year. You have to think that arbitration is going to look at him, in my opinion, and go, look, you got hurt based off of your time elsewhere. I can see him getting 2.5.
Yeah, that's arguable. And we do have, I think we're getting $3.5 million from dead cap next year. So I mean, that kind of pays for him.
From the dead cap, you're getting.
I think we're still paying. Yeah, right. We're paying Shattenkirk, Girardi, and D'Angelo.
Brad Richards came off your books this year.
Hey, thanks, Brad. Love you.
Thanks, Brad. Not a ton of money dumped in your minors.
Nope.
I'm looking for. Actually, you have. Oh. Minors might kill you a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You got 9 guys going to arbitration, my friend.
Oh yeah, I know. Most of them I don't really care about.
I mean, they're easy because they're arbitration. They get like $1 million at most.
The most interesting one is going to be what's his name?
Kretzel.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. No disrespect. I haven't even heard of a lot of these guys.
No, most of them are. It's
I know
really
Zach Jones. I know Nils Lundqvist, who's another one, by the way, that we overlooked. He's going to get a roster spot eventually, or you're going to trade him.
I think he's going to end up being traded, but yeah.
Oh, Predators legend Jared Tenorti.
Don't even.
I think Lieber Hayek's getting traded.
He's just going to go away because he's bad.
If you can get a 7th round pick for him, might as well.
Yeah. Then you have another goaltending legend, Tyler Wall.
Oh dear. That's the Metro.
That's the Metro.
How you feeling about tonight?
You
getting nervous?
Honestly, I don't know how I'm feeling about the game itself. They've been playing well in elimination games. If they win tonight, they're winning on Tuesday.
That's a lie.
No, it's not. If you're trying to make a joke about the scheduling, there's a 2-day in between the game. Game 7's Tuesday.
Oh no, I could care less about that. Believe me,
okay.
I am the last person to complain about schedules now. We can't see the. Let's take a look at some of the lines. I got some time. We finished a lot earlier than I thought we were going to. Let's see, because we can talk about betting here now.
Oh, that's what you want to get into, huh?
Yeah. I think what is it? Andrew's frozen parlay comes back for preseason.
Yeah, we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, no, I mean you won't.
We have a Discord for it now, so it's a little neater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's my invite?
I'll send you one right now.
Send it to me. Email it to me so I could put it in the thing.
It's pretty new. Don't worry, but I'll email it to you.
Jeez.
It's called Degenerate Gamblers.
Wow, Tampa's going in tonight, the underdog.
So I think it's because how the Rangers have played in the elimination games.
Well, the Rangers are they're going in as the puck line underdog. They're the favorite money line.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, the Rangers are a plus 165.
I'll
See,
take
what
that.
sucks the most about this is I can't even watch this game tonight.
Oh, no.
In about an hour, I'm in full UFC mode for the night.
There is a fight tonight.
There's a fight tonight. There's a major card tonight.
I only pay attention to Sean O'Malley. That's it.
I don't believe it. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I hate him.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, you know what? Let's before this turns into the left hook sauce. Let's wrap this up, ladies and gentlemen. We love you. That was creepy. I don't know why I did that. Look, we're always happy when we get to hang out with you guys. Next episode, we'll be going through the Atlantic Division because there is a few teams that don't have a first-round pick coming out of the Atlantic this year. And by a few, I mean at least 3. With that being said, I'm still not going to try to pronounce your last name. I need another couple weeks.
Fair.
We will see you next time here on the Sunday Sauce for episode 11, the draft preview of the Atlantic Division.
Those boys in the Atlantic.
Let's go Lightning.